Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new power supply from Corsair. This is going to mean that we're going to be cracking the power supply tester into action, but we're looking at the HX1000i. Now, with the i previously, with the AXIs and even to the H100i's, the I meant digital. Now this is an analog power supply, but it has got a digital to analog converter inside for things like the link and stuff. But what we are going to do is, I've got the 1000 watter, and if we spin around, there are a lot of mumbo jumbo stuff on the back, and to be honest with you, I know a lot of you want to talk about it, but at the same time you just want to look at it more than anything else. So what I've done is I've cracked the box open ready. So inside the box, when you get it, you get your warranty, you get your manual and all that type of stuff. But this is the main thing most of you want to have a ganders at. So we can see that we've got some blue detailing. The RM series, which is the models below this, they had yellow detailing. The HX is blue. Generally HX has been blue, and then as you go up, the AXs, which is the next model up, go red, and the red donates to the top of the line. It's actually got a very similar look to the RM series power supplies. The actual grille, the design of the actual case itself is pretty much exactly the same. We do have a few things additional around here, although it's still fully modular, which you'd expect. You have Corsair Link digital out, which means you can use the USB if you want, or you can use the L2C. Now this little cable, it is in the cable pack, and I'll show it to you. This is so that you can hook it up to your Corsair Link modules around the back, or even the cable does fit in the side of your H100i. But you can now, which was the first time I saw it was on the HX1500i, and I loved it. You do get a cable now that goes from that straight to a motherboard USB internal header. Absolutely brilliant. You do get a little LED here to show status of the link and stuff, but something that I think is brilliant, because a lot of people can't get used to the fact that the fans just don't spin on these hardly ever at all, is there is a fan test button, so you can press the button and it will do a fan test for you. Now, the reason why it's got a fan test button is it has got it's semi-passive, and it'll only spill up if it really needs to. You can go into Corsair Link and change that if you want, and have it so that it will pretty much run continuously. So you have got plenty of options there. It's a lot of people are going to be wondering, because obviously it looks very similar to the RM. Most of all this, it does look very RM. So what's the difference? Because this is going to be coming in more expensive. Well, essentially, guys, this is a platinum rated power supply, which means efficiency of at least 92% at 50% load. But something that a lot of the trolls were kicking off about with the RMs, even though the RM was built to be a power supply for this, like the mid to budget market, not dirt cheap, still a quality gold power supply, but it wasn't designed to be an all singing, all dancing, the best of everything. This has got fully Japanese capacitors in it, so you've got that to thank for, and like I said, it's platinum rated, and it's basically a higher grade RM. It's probably the most, layman's terms I can put it. It's basically, you've got an RM power supply with a lot better parts inside it. But we've obviously seen the unit itself. We need to have a look at the cables. But to be honest with you, if you're used to Corsair stuff, here's the cable that I was on about that fits into your Corsair Link. It's actually the cable that goes in your H100 as well, H100i rather. But that's a little 4-pin one. Then that's your USB that goes into an internal USB. This is brilliant. I love this so much. That's a personal thing for me. Bearing in mind, don't forget that all of the power supplies that Corsair have released recently, I've been grateful enough and lucky enough to get my hands on. This on the HX, on the AX 1500i was the bit I loved the most. So to see it on this, I'm very happy that they're continuing it on. Corsair cables are renowned. It's just do you know what I mean? Everyone knows that they're flat black cables. They do just look extra nice. Even the 24 pins are all flat black. But don't forget, guys, these fully modular connectors, you can get the coloured kits, so you can replace all of your cables all at once with Corsair individually braided cable kits. And I have actually got a few of the, well actually I've got all of the colours to hand, so I'm just going to show you those quickly. Haha! And people wonder why I keep everything. Right, so here's, don't forget, these are additional upgrades that you can get for this, the RM, the HXIs as well. Pretty much all of the fully modular power supplies have got the same basic cable layout. Some of them have a different 24 pin layout, but the RM, the AXIs and the HXIs that we've got here, the fully modular ones, they've all got the same 24 pin pinout, so they're all transferable as well. So for argument's sake, if you've got an AX860i and you want to change, or you've got an RM450 and you want to upgrade to this, and you've bought the cable kit, you can plug them straight into this and it will work. But as we can see, we've got, it's the individual braided kits. There's black, there's red, there's blue, and this is the newer blue. The green is just kamikazed on the floor, but there's the green. It's a lovely lime sort of style Nvidia green. The 24 pin for the gunmetal grey is actually in not the graphics card, the motherboard test system, but that's the gunmetal grey that you can get. And I really like this gunmetal. It's not focusing because it's trying to look at the other colours. I'm actually quite a big fan of this gunmetal colour because it's subtle, but you can still see it's individual quite easily. And then obviously, last but not least, you can get white as well. And the point is with all of these cables is they are individually braided, but most importantly, the cables underneath are actually the same colour as the braid as well. So that the braid itself isn't, you know, the most amazing in the world. It's not any, you know, these fabric kind of paracord amazing braids. It is a plastic braid, but because they use the same colour cables underneath, it means that you don't really notice it. And to be honest with you, once it's in your rig, you can't really fucking tell. I mean, look at that. That's white. You would be able to see through it if it was anything bad going on there. That was obviously a lovely up-close zoom as well. So that's just to give you an idea. If you did, once you've got this, want to upgrade, obviously it's a blue. You've easily got an upgrade path there where you can change all of your cables to this, if you want. Okay then peeps, so moving on to the tester. One thing I didn't say before, because I hadn't taken it all apart and got it all ready, is the PCI Express connections. You get 4 in total that plug into the unit itself, but each one of them are daisy chains. So you get one that can go into another. They're all 6 plus 2, so you've obviously got 6 pin, or you can add the second 8 pin on. But you get another one that comes off, and actually these are the ones I normally favour in builds to save cabling. So it means that you've got 4 that go into the unit, but then 8 possible in total connections if you want them. Now I'm just going to plug this one back in down here because I pulled it out to show you. Right, so that's that secured in my unit. Now when I turn the unit on, it will get very noisy. I've got the air conditioner running in the background. That's more to keep my unit cool than anything else, because this thing creates a massive amount of heat, because essentially this is just like a humongous resistor, variable resistor. So we're going to run that. When I turn it on, it will get very noisy. Module 1 we've set up for 100 watts, 10%, just nice and basic, nothing, you know, major, just kind of like a real basic system. It's probably going to be something that this unit, if you've got the right system at home, you're probably never going to have it running at 100 watts, because my main rig idles at about 220. Then we go up to 200 watts. Then we've got a 500 watts. Obviously with 500 watts we'll be looking out for the efficiency, And then we've got on number 4, we've got 1000 watts, which is obviously maximum draw for the unit itself. We'll be looking for noise, we'll be looking for efficiency, we'll be looking for heat, all of those kind of things. So we switch the sun moon on, that kicks in. That's set up at the moment to look at volts, just to let you know. It's not turned on yet though. What we will do, we go on, so we're on, then we switch power supply on, see the fan spin up just quickly and then go down. That's just because we've just, essentially it's like turning the back switch on for the unit and then switching your PC on, so that's just that. So one thing that we can show you, which is out of shot, we do have the oscilloscope running. That's actually at 9.6, 9.8, or it's just gone up to 10 millivolts. But if we come back down here, right, at 100 watts or 95.7, we are 87.9 to 88% efficient. And that basically means 95.7 is what's being taken from the unit, 108.6 is what's being taken from the wall to go actually into the unit itself, which gives us our efficiency rating here. If we switch off of this, we can have a look at the voltages. Now the voltages, all like essentially at this kind of thing, if it was below 12 I would be very, very worried. We've got our 3.3 here, our minus 12 we don't need to worry about too much, but 5 smack bang on, 3.3 is pretty much bang on, and the 12s are pretty damn good. I've seen those with some units go up to like 12.3 at this point. So the closest we are to 12, whether it be slightly above or slightly below, is exactly what we want. What you will see is as we start to crank the volts up, sorry, the amps up that we're drawing, you know, the more watts we're taking from the unit, they will dip a little bit. So the most important thing for us to take here is the voltages are very good. We can see that we'll say this is 88% efficient, but don't forget what I said. We are only pulling 100 watts from it at the moment. And on the oscilloscope, there's practically no ripple at all. 10 millivolts at 100 watts. So we come back down. What we'll do is go up to 200. So already at 200 watts, you can see we're at 92% efficient. 92, that being there like that and being so stable as well, that was the type of level that we would be wanting at 500 watts. So it's already doing very, very well. We have a look at the volts. We can see that we're pretty much where we were before. It has dipped a tiny little bit because this was 12.13 before. The main one that you want to watch is this one though, meter A. This is your 24 pin. The other ones that are scattered around are either your 12 pin CPU or your PCI Express. Meter C, for example, this one is our CPU, 12 pin CPU that goes in. So like this, sorry, the 8 pin. So we've got that. We know we're at pretty much 92% efficient. And when we go up, and I'll just zoom you in quickly. I'm trying to do this quickly so it don't take ages. The ripple has gone up about a millivolt, maybe a millivolt and a half. Coming back down, what we'll do is we'll flick it up, 500 watts. The unit takes a while just to recalibrate quickly, but we're almost up to 93% efficient here, 92.9. Now one thing I will say, if that had registered 93, that would be practically a titanium efficiency rather than platinum. So we're already screaming away with the efficiency. I'm very, very happy with this. We go back to the voltages. We're down to 12.08, so still very strong voltages there. And if we go up to the ripple, it's still fucking non-existent. We're going to call that 13 millivolts of ripple at 500 watts. Back down here, what we're going to do now is we're going to jump it up to 1000 watts. You will see the fan spin up because it's going to be at its maximum load, and it will auto kick in. As you can see, she's now running. Right, so our voltages, they're pretty much all at 12. We've got ones here that have gone down to 11.99, 11.8, but for considering this is pulling 1000 watts, which is its maximum limit, that's very, very strong, and I do mean very, very strong. If we flick across, we'll look at the efficiency. You can see that we're running 998, so basically 1000 watts, 90% efficient at 100%, which again is still very fucking strong, very strong indeed. You can see that it's actually pulling 1100 watts from the wall. That's what that denotes. But if we go up, we're going to say that's 23 millivolts of ripple at 1000 watts. And just to put things into context for you, the Cooler Master that we reviewed previously, or just recently, at 1000 watts was pumping out about 32 millivolts of ripple at 1000 watts, and that's actually below its rated limit. Once we got it up to running at rated, which was 1200 watts, it was putting out about 35 to 37 millivolts. So this, considering it's not a digital power supply and it's still an analog power supply, to only be pumping out 22, 23 millivolts of ripple at maxi chat is actually very, very strong. It just goes to show you how well the internals on this are put together. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to give this a bit of abuse for a minute, see how much it warms up. I'm going to have to turn the air conditioning off and everything like that, but I'm going to give it some abuse, some proper abuse for a little while, and I will be back shortly to report. Right then peeps, so we have been running at maxi chat for about 35 minutes now, and although you can feel round the back, there is obviously, because it's been running at full chat, the unit itself has got a bit warm, and you can feel there's a bit of warm air coming out the back. This fan, you can still hardly hear it. I have to put my ear up to the side, and that's not because of this unit, it's just because it's really not spinning at all. It's definitely as quiet, if not quieter, than the RM units, and they were amazing anyway. And we're still at full chat, running above 90% efficiency, which is epic. And even though we've been running it for a good while, we're still below 24 for the ripple, so it's awesome. So if we pump it back down, just instant drop, there we go, down to 500 watt, and you're down again to 92.8, 92.9. You briefly see 93, there you go, percent efficiency. Absolutely brilliant. But anyway, so I think this fan's now starting to spin down as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn the noisy unit off, and we're going to move on for a conclusion. Right then peeps, moving swiftly on to the conclusion in a slightly awkward part of the room, because I'm obviously trying to keep the power supply and the stuff that we've been doing just recently in shot. But anyway, so we'll start with the award, and then we'll move on to explanations. And you can only really give it the gold award because it's such a well performing unit, it's daft. Corsair seem to have really grabbed hold of the nads recently of things like ripple and stuff, and the RM was a great power supply because I tested the RM1000 on this. The RM was a great power supply, especially when you consider the price and the fact it was so accessible. But the RM was really the start of things being ridiculously quiet. We then, after that, we tested the AX1500i, which was completely the other end of the spectrum. It was titanium rated. It was literally the all singing, all dancing power supply, but it had the price tag to match. And you were looking at well over £400 for a 1500 watt power supply. But also it was the first of the red branded power supplies. So the AXIs, that was quiet pretty much all the time, because the AX760 and the AX860i, they could get noisy if run really, really hard. Not noisy to the point that they were intrusive, but significantly louder than the RMs were. The AXI, even running flat taps, was really quiet, but also with stupidly low ripple levels. But obviously you had that price point and you really had to need it and want it and be willing to, you know, sell a kidney to pay for it. The HXIs, however, they really do nestle very well into that middle ground, because you've essentially got the quietness of the RMs, the look and the build of the RMs, but you've got much more kind of like bells and whistles going on the inside. The efficiency rating's gone up. You've still got the quietness. You've still got everything that you want. You've got the Link software that you can either run through your Link dongles up into the H100i hub, or run directly, because you can plug the USB in straight into the USB internal on your motherboard, which is brilliant. And that was one of the features that I really liked with the AX1500i. You've also, to stop people panicking, because it has happened a lot online where people think that the power supply isn't working properly, they've put that fan tester on there just for peace of mind, and that's pretty much the only reason why they've done it. It's just to calm people down, because I've heard on the grapevine that so many of these, or the RMs, were RMA'd because they thought they were faulty, and as soon as they got them back to test them, they were actually perfectly fine. It was just people panicking about the fan. So that's why the buttons are there. As you saw, 1000 when it was pulling 1000 watts, we were at 90% efficient, and it was also the millivolts ripple was only 2324. At 500 watts it was 93% efficient, so it's an incredibly efficient power supply, and that's another reason why the fan doesn't necessarily need to spin all the time, because it's just not getting hot. Even with it on, classically, I've got it on a book, and that's only just to raise it off the desk a little bit and make it easier, because I had some thermometers and stuff, and it just makes it easier for me to do those things, and it was something that I forgot to take away in the video. But even on that hard insulating surface, because obviously it's going to make it get all warm, the power supply didn't spin up, get over hot or anything, and it was running 1000 watts in the end for well over an hour. You know, if you bought a 1000 watt power supply, you're not going to be stressing it out that much. Most of you out there that are going to end up buying this are probably never going to put more than 700 watts through it, unless you've got some obscene system. Some people may get a bit funny about the fact that all of the cables are daisy chains. I can see why that you might say that, but one of the things that you need to kind of consider is, if it bothers you that it's daisy chained, you can get the additional cable packs that I showed you in the video as well. You can get those, and there will be some individual ones in those. So if you're really that fussed about it, there are ways around it, but all of the ones that do come with this are those daisy chains. One thing I will say though is some of the cables, if you have problems trying to route them and stuff, just get them a little bit warm. I know it might sound silly, but get them a little bit warm. It can make them that little bit more pliable and allow you to get things done better. Also, if you are trying to go around corners and stuff, remember, you can't just twist it. Try doing 90-degree folds with them, so you kind of like turn them back on themselves, and you'll be amazed how tidy you can get these flat cables if you're willing to put the time in. But Corsair HX1000i, thoroughly well awarding of that gold award. If for nothing else, the fact that it's quiet, the efficiency and the ripple kind of scream out with that. I actually like this so much, I think I'm going to ask Corsair if I can review the lower end one as well. I think they start at 650 watts. I think I'm going to ask to have a play with that as well, to see if the one at completely the opposite end of the spectrum is good. Don't wait for that review though, it may take a little while because we've got an awful lot of stuff coming up over the next 6 weeks. But thoroughly award-winning, worthy of winning the OC3D Gold Award. But for now, at least, this is Tiny Tom Logan with another power supply review for you, out.